Hey guys, welcome back to Super Switch U. Uh, Before we get too far into this video, happy Memorial Day, or however you wish, like a good day for that. So I know it's supposed to be like in remembrance, but most people just do barbecues, cookout, first day of summer kind of stuff. Um, so you know, good wishes being sent out is what the point of that was. um, and also, uh, I got this shirt in the other day. I really want to like show it off because I like it. It's if you can see that, Red Eyes Black Dragon. It was on a sale. It was like $10, and my size. It's hard to find shirts that fit because I got this long torso, so I need the like XLTs, and not everybody sells those, especially places like GameStop that don't go over like 2X, and even that's a stretch sometimes. Um, So it was exciting to see a Yu-Gi-Oh shirt for the first time, something I can wear. So just was excited. Was excited for it. But not the point of the video. Uh, Today, especially being Memorial Day, I figured we could go back and reminisce about the good old days of Switch One. Yeah, I know it's weird to be talking about that because it's still technically current for another how many days? Like a week and a half, like less than that. Got one, two, three, four, five, six, 10 days. 10 days until the launch of Nintendo Switch 2. And even though, yes, they're going to be still supporting the Switch 1, it's still the end of that being the most current, the most modern, the focus of their attention is all that's going to go to Switch 2. So it's still kind of the end of an era. And what a crazy, long, wild era this was. Since it started on March, not May, it was March 3rd of 2017. And we've had this thing for over 8 years now as a current system, as the only system. Uh, for a long time, that didn't happen. Nintendo would have their primary home console and the handheld. For the first time, you just take those things and you whack them together until eventually you got Switch 1. And you only needed one console. So it's crazy. Um, Actually, it's really crazy to go back and think about just how much my life has changed since Switch 1 launched. Um, because when it came out, it was 2017, I had gotten my first house, not just moved out for the first time on my own, but like actually owning a house. December of 2016. Bought it from my brother. It was a rent to own agreement kind of thing. Um, so that was all fresh and new and exciting. So I'd only been in that house for about 3 months, and then a brand new console comes out, and so had to celebrate in the best possible way. Got the friends together. Just really, it was the four of us. It was me, my friend Tom. You've seen him in 3 or 4 different videos if you go back and look at like the unboxing of the limited run video, Sushi Striker, stuff like that. Larry, who was in the taste testing for the Peeps Pepsi, uh, I believe he was in that with me. So he's been on camera once before. And then my friend Chris, who I uploaded a video of him performing with his band live in Tulsa. Um, but there's the four of us. We did a cookout like that weekend. I want to say the third was a Friday, maybe a Thursday, like somewhere right at the end of the week. So Saturday or Sunday, we had done this big cookout, cooked barbecues, not barbecues. Yeah, we barbecued some burgers and hot dogs and stuff. Just played Switch uh, one, and I had 4 out of 5 of the physical launch titles when that released. Obviously, Breath of the Wild because it was the Zelda game and it launched. 1-2 Switch, which holy crap! I know a lot of people talk crap about that game, like no replay value or whatever, but we played that for years. That was like one of the go-to games for all of our like gaming sessions, parties, whatever. We would bust out the 1-2 Switch. It was amazingly fun, but without a big group, it does kind of lose the appeal. If you're just trying to do two-player or whatever, it gets old. Then let's see, there was Super Bomberman R, which also ended up being a really good party game for a while. And I still did the Toys to Life thing at that point. So Skylanders, I got Imaginators. I skipped out on Just Dance. If I could go back, I would actually change that. I would have just got Just Dance 2017. But anyway, so that's how that whole thing started. Which is we brought it in with a bang, and I was a single guy living on my own first time, and since then gotten the let's see, I've bought a car since then. Like I had a car, but I got a newer car a few years after 2021 met, and then later at the end of the year married my wife. Um, and the following year, which is still, it's 2022, still Switch was current system. We were pregnant with and then lost our first son. And then the year after that, 2023, we got pregnant again, and my son Logan was born. Very, very early, but um, still there. And so the 3 months that we were at NICU and living in the Ronald McDonald House, just so we could be close enough to go at any point, and we went to see him all the time. But in the times that we didn't, like it was just a small little hotel room, so we brought a TV up. We had the Switch One with the dock, and ended up playing through uh, quite a few different things. WarioWare, Smooth Moves I had gotten at that point. Mario RPG I think I had started. All the stuff that came out there at the end of 2023. Just playing all that just to pass the time. Tears of the Kingdom I think I was playing. I was finishing that one up. Um, so yeah, I mean my life took a whole complete change of direction just in those 8 years. Went from a single guy starting out in my own place to being married, her and I buying our first brand new house, like they built it from the ground up, which is the house that we're in. Um, and then being a dad for the first time. Uh, so it's kind of sad to see this one go, but at the same time, with Switch 2 being backwards compatible, I don't have to lose the memories. I just lost the console. And that was really more to help pay for the new one. But it's not completely gone. I did some Switch swapping around, and now my youngest niece has my original Switch 1. And I had taken her Switch Lite to swap around and get a different Switch Lite in slightly better condition to trade in towards Switch 2. But still, still sad. But it's the memories that came along with that being the thing I played for so long. Um, but that's about as much of the sappy side of this as I was wanting to get into. Just kind of wanted to reminisce for a minute. But I will put a bookmark somewhere right about here, in case you just wanted to come to this video for the real main reason I was wanting to do this, I want to go through my top 10 Switch 1 games of everything. I was originally going to just try to do this as like just Switch 2 or Switch 1 exclusives. So anything that was like a collection or a reboot, a port, remaster, whatever, I was going to just leave those out because some stuff it's a little bit harder to place when it's the stuff that I grew up with or it was a favorite from a different system. So it's hard to say like, oh, well, I loved this game on this console, but in comparison to some of these other games, doesn't quite match up. Um, but I just went ahead, just out of everything, this is the top 10 that I came up with. And I'll try my best to make it make sense as to why I picked it. I know sometimes I can be vague with that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and start. So, number 10 would have to be Luigi's Mansion 3. I used to not think, like, every time I play a new game, it's all fun and exciting at first, and so it's hard to say that it's not my favorite in that moment. Um, but then when Luigi's Mansion 2 came out, HD, I know a lot of people were complaining because it didn't add anything and it was still a $60 game. Um, but getting that again and playing through it kind of helped me remember that, like, it was great for the 3DS because it was the first time getting to play Luigi's Mansion on the go. But actually, in comparison to the rest of the series, Luigi's Mansion 2 would be like the bottom. But I think in comparison to 1, 3 still kind of has that beat because it's such a massive, expansive. What was it? A hotel that you're in? I haven't played it in a while, but I have to collect my thoughts and I'm thinking about like 9 other games too. But the Goichi stuff was a really good addition, which I know that started with 2, but the way they implement it in 3 is really good. The ghosts now getting a few new design changes from 2 is also a nice fix, even though they're not quite as unique as the ones in the first one. Um, still, still a really good time, and I would still play this over and over again. And someday we'll hopefully play with Logan and his little brother on the way, Joseph. Um, let them have the same fun with this game that I had. Um, that's what I got to say on that. Like, it's Luigi's Mansion as a whole, as a series, is not, say, top 5 or even top 1 slot, but they're still really good games, and that's best of the series. So let's move on to number 9, which, just before you try to suggest anything, the entire list is not Nintendo first party games. This is going to be the first of third parties. Super Dragon Ball Heroes or yeah, World Mission. I was about to say World Heroes. No, that's my Hero Academia. I think had a World Heroes movie. I don't know, some titles get so close together. But yeah, so I would say number 9 would have to be this one. Put so much time into this collecting the different cards and stuff. But that's the thing. It combines some of my favorite stuff into one game. Love Dragon Ball, all of the series, even Super with its like going way off, attaching back into Z and some of the opinions that I have that people don't agree with. But then it's a card game. It's a freaking card game. So the things that I love with Yu-Gi-Oh smashed right in there. And then just all the crazy things you could combine together and stuff. The story was great, not super crazy with the like Xenoverse got real alternate universe type of craziness, but this just sort of simplifies that, but not overly simplifies it. So that's it's a nice touch, but man, I could still put another good 50 to 100 hours just in the next like month into that if I had the time. So, number 8, I might get some hate for this one, but because it's so far down my list. And I don't know, maybe it's just the fact that it's not the Paper Mario game that I wanted. I would have liked to either see them start with the first one and go all the way through, or like I don't know. I really liked Super Paper Mario from the Wii, but this one was amazing too, even on the GameCube. Still got some memories uh, in my middle school, early high school, like freshman days. Um, I don't even think it was that, was it? I'm trying to remember because like I remember the moment. I don't remember the actual year. Could have been seventh or eighth grade year. Um, Matt, my brother, had gotten a copy of this on the GameCube, and he had played through and beat it, and so I was finally getting a chance to go through it. It was a day I was playing it, fell asleep on the floor, and somehow woke up on the couch. Uh, but my brother woke me up. We went to see some movie, either like Spider-Man 3 or TMNT or something like. But still, I remember falling asleep, but like really pushing through playing it. Not like it was boring falling asleep, but I was playing it so much that I wasn't getting enough sleep. And what they did to clean this up in the Switch 1 version, um, and just going all through it again, especially because I've got a GameCube controller for like I want to say maybe Power A was the company that did it, but it's a Pokemon one. It's got Umbreon. Yeah, I got rid of the Espeon one because it's a purple controller, and I was like, I don't know. I would have rather had like a green one with Leafeon on it or something. But this is a black GameCube controller, and it's got Umbreon right on the center. But playing through with that controller just it brought back a lot of those memories and the good times back before I had to pay bills and take care of a kid and have adult responsibilities. Oh man, this just I loved it. But again, I still would have rather had like the whole series or Super, but it's all good. Number seven. This actually did turn out to be like my all-time favorite for the system that it released on. Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE, which is probably the weirdest of choices for this list. But hear me out for a second, all right? So this was the project that for a long time they were saying was Fire Emblem X Shin Megami, and kind of is. It has all the gameplay elements of a Shin Megami game, but it incorporated characters throughout the Fire Emblem series, which liked both games, but they found the perfect way to do it with this. Story's amazing. The characters completely like memorable and like you could attach yourself so much to these characters and want to know like what's going to happen next. Amazing soundtrack even though I don't like speak Japanese. The song still got stuck in my head. I just couldn't sing along to it, which drove me crazy cuz like some of those pop songs like that was some good music. And put like 70, 60, 70 hours into the first playthrough on the Wii U. Played it again for the Switch, and then it was either the Wii U copy or the Switch copy. I went to play through it again. I got about halfway through. That's why I'm thinking it was the Wii U one. I think I got halfway through and then was like, well, most of these Wii U games are on Switch One, and then sold my collection before it became worth money. So clearly, I make bad financial decisions when it comes to stuff like that. I should have just held on and waited, and I could have got so much more out of my collection. But that game, it's still like perfect. So, what number are we on? That was 10, 9, 7. So this is six. Yep. Okay. Sorry, lost track of my numbers. So six, and this was really tough to place because this and the game before this one are still some of my absolute favorites for Switch One. Um, Just and it's crazy because the first game in this series I tried to play before playing any of these, and I just could not get into it until they redid it for the Switch One. So number six choice, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which yeah, I've got a European copy, but that's it still plays perfectly well in English, just like anything else. Um, but yeah, almost as amazing as two was. Could have been better because I the thing I loved the most in two was the blades, the mechanic for fighting with collecting blades and having them fight alongside you and all of that. And this sort of took that out and it just combined it so the characters had the abilities like the blades did, but you don't really have that like collecting part of it. But as far as the story goes, phenomenal. It meshes the two worlds of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 together, and just the whole thing from start to finish, crazy wild ride. Um, Hard to really go into detail. Like I almost feel like I need to do separate videos for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 3. Maybe even throw Torna in there because that was a good one too, but it was a lot shorter and the characters were not quite the same. The story was a little bit less in depth, so it did not make the list, but still great though. So 3 falls to number 6. Um, Number 5 also might get some flack for this one because it was really popular. Uh, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. This was the first Mario Bros. Game that came out, um, that me and my wife had played together. So before this, it was 3D World plus Bowser's Fury had came out like the beginning of the year that her and I had met. And so I had already started and was like going through it by myself, which we had recently started that game and we got about 50, 60% through the game. And now it's kind of difficult and she's kind of done with it. But she finished this one with me. We played it all the way through start to finish, and this felt like all the magic that you got from the original Super Mario Bros. And Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, those great classic games. This kind of felt like it just fell right in line with that. It brought in a bunch of new stuff without feeling like it threw out everything that made the Mario Bros. Series good, especially for the 2D platforming side of Mario versus the 3D side. And then just the the craziness of uh, the Wonder Seeds and everything that it would do and all the transformations and stuff. I mean, I think somebody might have been smoking something a little too strong when they came up with the idea, but it still turned out to be a great game at the end of the day. So that is my number 5. Number 4 sort of feels like it should be number 1 most of the time, but I understand there are some issues, and I'd agree on a couple of things, but for the most part, like still really good. Super Mario 3D All Stars. Now I get it. 64 didn't get the full widescreen, and they could have been maybe polished or cleaned a little bit better. But when you really think about it, though, you're getting like three of the best Mario games that have ever released. Now, granted, Sunshine's probably not in my top 3 Marios or even the top 5. Still a really good game, but 64 and Galaxy, even if that was the only two in this set, still would have probably ranked about the same. And again, like I played Mario Sunshine with that GameCube controller. It felt really nice. Even Mario 64 did not feel out of place with the GameCube controller. But then Galaxy, I went through with Joy Cons. I wanted it to feel as close to Wii Remote and Nunchuck as possible. Pretty close. Might be closer with the Switch 2 Joy Cons, and I'm definitely going to go back through it at some point on Switch 2 just to kind of feel if that gets closer to that whole experience. Um, but yeah, like just Mario 64 was my childhood, and then Galaxy was one of those first Wii games that me and my brother had gotten. I mean, we got the Wii the first day. We were there midnight release at Seminole Walmart in line. We were like the third ones there. Um, but then when that game finally came out, like we got it pretty early on, and so that's sort of my childhood wrapped up together in a nice love letter package. Let's see where are we at number. That was number four, so this is number three. Probably get some flack for this too, um, because of how the rest of this list is gonna go. But Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I would say, is my number three. It just like hear me out here, okay? Because I know like some people are like, no man, that should have been number one, man. That's the best Smash Bros. To be fair, yes, that is probably one of the best Smash Bros. Games. Um, Couple things I would have done better, I think. The campaign mode, though it did have longevity, it was a really long campaign. Story to it, like the actual storyline, kind of fell flat in comparison to uh, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. The story in that was really good. So if they had done something like that in here, it would have been really nice. Some of the character roster that came in, like the new stuff, I probably would have actually picked differently. I'm just trying to think to some of that, right? Um, Losing the name of the Pokemon, cat Litten's final form. Anyway, you guys know who I'm talking about, or if you don't, you can look it up. Not the Pokemon I would have picked from that generation. And with all the different Pokemons out there, even fire starters in general, I would have picked a lot of different people before that. Uh, Blaziken would have been great. We already got Charizard, but that's the other thing. We got Charizard. We needed grass starter representation. You know, like Decidueye. That would have been good. I think that's the name. The owl. I don't know. My brain's wrecked. Had to take Logan to the ER last night, and I'm running on 4 hours of sleep in the last 28 to 30 hours. But I mean, you kind of get what I'm getting with. Like that could have been different. They could have picked better representation for. Give me a second here. Okay, so like the DLC fighters, right? The Minecraft thing was stupid. Just throw that. That's the thing that hurt it. You want to know why this is number three? You shouldn't have brought Steve. That's what you shouldn't have done. But you know, there's just certain little things. The spirits were not quite as good as the trophies, which I get. Trophies were kind of pointless, but they had like descriptions of who they were, what it was, the series that it was from, like the first entry, the last time it showed up. That was nice. The spirits don't have that. They're just like abilities to use in a specific mode, and they could have probably meshed that better than what they did. Even though, yeah, the spirits you get like so much more across Nintendo's history, there's a big chunk of characters that come through that thing. I'm like, who the hell is this? Like, and then find out it's not even a Nintendo game. It's like something from Castlevania, but a game that I never played, or something crazy like that. A Bandai Namco thing. I'm like, get out of here. You're not. You don't need to be here. But it's fine. It's still a really good game. It just uh, it could have used a few tweaks here and there. Uh, Yep, just flash this to you, see if you can see. Number two, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which I had said earlier that Tokyo Mirage Sessions was my favorite from the Wii U. That's because this on the Wii U was not deluxe. It didn't have all the DLC. It didn't have some of the extra stuff, uh, and it did not have the uh, booster course tracks. So when you talk about just the base game, okay, even like before the DLC, maybe even after the DLC, but the base game itself didn't have a great battle mode, which I don't use all the time, but every once in a while it's nice to do the things like the balloon pop or some of those other ones, the blow them up with the bomb, the King of the Hill, whatever. Like, they're fun when you have a group of guys together and you're tired of just driving and driving and driving. But the original one, it wasn't dedicated tracks to it. It was certain tracks from the regular game done with battle mode, and they're too open and too. Uh, it's too easy to run away and get lost trying to find somebody. Um, so there's that, and everything else besides, I guess, the vehicle transformation, like going up on the walls, felt like just a regular Mario Kart. And even the going up on the walls, like when you're driving, you can't tell. You'd have to go back and watch the replays to really see, like, oh yeah, man, I forgot I was up on the ceiling. Most of the time, it just feels like you're playing Mario Kart. So it felt standard when it came out. But then you get this one, you fix up some of those tweaks, you add a couple of the new items, you add in all of that DLC on the cartridge, like as part of that package, and then you add to that all those previous courses from the booster course mode. This suddenly becomes like the best Mario Kart that's ever existed, like ever. Weird how that works. You just give us more content that we want, and that's it fixes it. I don't know. Now, is Mario Kart World going to be better than that? I don't know. I can't say for sure. It's going to be new. That's one thing I can say. But yeah, as far as better, I don't know. But if you combine the two, and they give us some of those courses redone, which they were supposed to be, and I will probably do a video at some point once we know all the tracks of World, um, and do like a side by side comparison of all the previous tracks and see what's missing from previous Mario Kart games, all the way back to Super Nintendo. It's to everything. But that's a video for a different time. Now, I feel like there should be a drum roll. Number one. I mentioned it earlier. You should have already saw this coming. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I said it at the time that it came out. I was like, man, this is like the best game on the system. And this was year one, man. This was December of 2017, and even 8 years later, basically, I still feel the same way about this game. It was an amazing story. It had like the most memorable characters, the blade system, collecting different blades, being able to swap that out, uh, just all of it. The going to the different they were Titans, right? I just want to make sure I'm saying the right word and not just thinking Attack on Titan. Um, yeah, Titans. So like the world maps existing on Titans, like on living creatures that just kind of float around the city, like the whole thing blew my mind the first time playing it, and holy crap! If there's a game in my collection that I am dying to play through again, it's this one. But you know what I don't have as a dad right now to do to be able to play this again? Time. This took a lot of time. Nothing ever felt wasted though. Like some of those RPGs and stuff, it feels like you're just grinding and grinding and grinding. But with this, there were plenty of things that I could go through and find and collect while leveling up, and I never felt like I was wasting my time at all. Like all of it felt very driven to completing the story. And had other things not came out at the beginning of 2018, I would have probably just kept going with this game for months and been perfectly happy. Like if this was the only thing I had, if this had came out at launch and it was the only thing I had, I would have been happy for like a year before I'd be like, all right, where's the other games? So, but I didn't feel that with Breath of the Wild. I know a lot of people were like, oh, yeah, you could just like, do all this stuff, but sometimes Sometimes it felt like I was just walking places just to walk places. Like it felt like some of the stuff was a little forced in Breath of the Wild, but it felt less forced with this. So many different missions and collectibles and things, and I wanted to get every blade in that game, even if I never used them. Like it could have been the worst blade in the world. I needed it for my collection. Um, so that's, I mean, it is hard to top this for me. So hopefully something comes out on Switch 2 that gets close. Um, if not, and I go to do a Switch 2 top games list, this might still be sitting at number one. It's like I know it's not a Switch 2 game, but I can play it on Switch 2. I could justify it. Um, Not that I like. I don't have to have something to dethrone it, I guess. But if we get a Xenoblade Chronicles 4, that that would probably get close. I think. So, anyway, that's my top 10. Um, there are some things that are obviously missing, which would be honorable mentions and stuff, like Pokemon Diamond and Pearl was really close to being in this list. The thing is, though, this is not my favorite generation of Pokemon games. However, when you compare it to all the Pokemon on Switch One, um, oh yeah, no, this is gonna be a long video. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk. And if you guys watch the whole thing, that's amazing. Uh, anyway, so when you compare it to things like Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, there are issues with every generation Pokemon game on Switch One. And yes, Legends ZA was pretty amazing, and it was great to have like a fresh take on Pokemon that still sort of felt like a main line. At the end of the day, though, it wasn't. It didn't feel like the Pokemon that I like. I might be crazy for saying this, but I like traditional Pokemon. I grew up with Pokemon Red and Pokemon Silver and Pokemon Crystal. It's the first three that we had, but I liked that. I liked the top down. I liked the collecting aspect of it. I liked doing the gym battles, and just as basic as it is, it's the Pokemon that I like. It's what I loved about the series and what brought me in to begin with. And that's why this is probably the top, not specifically this version. It's just this was the version that I played. My wife had Diamond. I would have probably rather had Diamond, but I was trying to make her happy and she really liked Diamond, so I went with Pearl. It's fine. But the uh the visual style, like cleaning it up, but it was still top down. That's what I wanted from a Pokemon game. If they had done this stuff to Generation 1 or Generation 2, that would have actually probably made the top 10. But it didn't. Um, and you got stuff like Fire Emblem was missing as a regular game. This was the closest one to making the list. And at one time, this was in my top 10 years ago. Um, but the thing that I liked the most about it, I liked better with Fire Emblem Fates on 3DS, which is probably my favorite of all of the Fire Emblem series. And so it sort of falls flat with that too. Like, yeah, it's got the different storylines, and depending on who you pick and what you do, you can get there. But sometimes the school elements and the relationship building feels like it's harder to get to, and it drags on more than anything else in the 3DS Fire Emblem games. Like anything modern where it had the relationship building and stuff like that, it felt harder to accomplish and not in a good way. So that didn't make it. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, because I love the Crash Bandicoot games. 2 and 3 are amazing. One I didn't play until I got this, and it was a little bit less than what I was hoping for. Uh, but in comparison to the games that I mentioned, Crash does feel a little less. Like if I was to do a top 50, almost definitely in there. Mario Odyssey. it was it was hard not to put this in there. This was probably number 11, and it was, you know, I don't have an explanation. I don't. Like, it was, it's probably even with Luigi's Mansion 3 for me. Like, it's great for the 3D Mario experience. Um, I don't know. Maybe I need to play it again. Maybe I need to play it 2 to 3 more times, and it'll start to get that same feeling that I had with the three that are in 3D All Stars. Um, Zelda. Zelda's missing from this list. I'll explain to you why, right? Because there's a lot of Zelda games out there, and I might eventually do a list of my favorite Zelda games. Um, you know what's not on Switch One? Like anything that's at the top end of my favorites Zelda games. Now, yeah, they're on like Switch Online and stuff, but we're talking like regular release physical games, the stuff you can own, not the stuff that you get because you pay for the subscription service, and if that ever goes down, you lose the entire thing. But this was probably the closest to the top, or this one. I don't know. I couldn't decide. I sit here and I was looking, and they just, I don't know. Link's Awakening, the whole time I was wanting either Oracle of uh well, either of them, the Oracle games. Like, that would have been amazing in this style. Uh Link's Awakening, as good of a game as it is, it just, I don't know. It just feels like generic Zelda. Like, not that it's a bad thing, but the things that make it unique are not the greatest when compared to the rest of the series. But the two version thing for Oracles, if you had meshed all that together, would have been amazing for this. But we didn't get that. And then Skyward Sword, like, it's closer in the 3D Zeldas that I like, but I needed Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, and we got this. Which, it's fine. Like, it's from the Wii collection. It's not a bad Zelda game. Certain areas feel like you go to them way too often, like where you fight the big, large thing that you attack the toes. I felt like that's most of where my game was spent, was there, and it's a little lacking. I don't know. I've got the rest of the stack here. Like, this is how much I cut from the overall games that I pulled off of my list. I just dumped those everywhere. Hold on a second. I know that's embarrassing, but um, yeah, like, it's not even but a fraction of the actual game collection uh, that I have for Switch One. Not bragging, I'm just saying, like, even after trading everything in that I did towards, um, there it is, towards the Switch Two. There's still a lot, and it's hard to separate some things sometimes. But I would like to talk about some of these. I'm not going to go through everything, but yeah. Okay, there we go. Fixed. We're back. We're back to where we should be. All right. So, like, Animal Crossing was a good series, right? Is this top 10? No, no, it's not. It's still a life sim at the end of the day, but probably the best of the Animal Crossing series, even though you're on an island and not just a town. But just the level of customization that you can build up and down the terrain, and all the different things you can do. You can move people's houses. You can move the businesses. I had like actual legitimate streets. My island was just a typical city. Like, I made signs for street signs, and it was great. Um, I don't have my island anymore because they made you do the island transfer tool, and that that hurts it too. I should be able to just move that when I move my save data. But really like the Bioshock series, but I feel like in comparison, this is probably like at the bottom of the stack of games that I pulled. Metroid Prime. I like Metroid Prime. I'm not a big first-person shooter guy, but this is probably the best of first-person shooters. Now, Metroid Prime 4 looks like it could maybe bump itself up the list a little bit, but I don't know. I could not fit this in um, into my top 10. I couldn't because I didn't feel like it was as good. Simple as that. Pikmin series was missing, right? We have all four of the mainline Pikmins. This was probably the closest. So I know somebody once did a video saying like your favorite Pikmin says a lot about you, but three three was actually my favorite in the series. Even with four, four kind of felt forgettable. I don't know. Maybe it's that they like completely tried to restart that story almost. The dog thing didn't quite do it for me. Um, but the first one, before they fixed it and you didn't have to be as rushed, the time limit kind of took away from that because there was so many things I wanted to do, and the first time playing, I didn't know what I was doing. So like I missed a lot of it. And I didn't get the good ending the first time playing it on GameCube. Two felt like it tried too hard to take out the difficult elements, and it just didn't have some of the magic of the first one. But this one was fresh. This one, it seemed like it took some of the better parts of all of the series, and like yeah, you don't have a countdown timer like one, which like I said, I didn't care much for, but you have the food supply thing, so you have to constantly be making sure you have the food while you're collecting the treasures, and you're trying to find Olimar and Louis, and like it worked. Like this is what we need if we're gonna get a Pikmin 5. Take some notes from Pikmin 3, but I didn't feel like it compared to everything else. Apparently, I'm not that big a fan of Sonic. I realized that going through the shelf, because this was the best thing that I came up with. Like I got the Sega Genesis Classics collection that had all the Sega Genesis games. Apparently, I didn't care much for Genesis either. Like there's good games in it, but they don't compare, and especially like collectively, they don't compare to a lot of the things that I like of Nintendo. But then with Sonic, Colors is fine, Generations is fine, Superstars is fine, Forces could have been a little better. Um, but the Sonics that I like the best are Absent, Adventure, Secret Rings, these ones. But I mean, they're not absent, but I don't know. Like, it's still didn't feel like it compared, and I think I didn't like Sonic One as much as I was hoping to. I always grew up playing two. Two was great. Three was fine. Knuckles was fine. CD was fine. One was fine. But like when most of the games, I'm like they're all right. They're good for Sonic, I guess. Yeah, like I don't know what I'm doing here. Mario Party. Mario Parties were missing. This would have been my pick, Superstars, because it was closest thing to the original format for Mario Party. Pick a board, collect stars. Simple. But the mini game choices, a lot of them were GameCube and beyond, and I was really, really wanting just a collection from 64. So it would have been great if it was just the mini games from 64, if it was the boards of 64, which it was, but my favorite's 3, and we got one board, and it wasn't even a good board from 3. So, like, what are we even doing here? so, um, and, go along with the shirt, Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days collection, which I like the other one that came out too, Duelist Link or whatever. Um, but it was just straight dueling, where this is a collection of Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Yu-Gi-Oh! Games. but then you go back and you play it and you remember that it was Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance Yu-Gi-Oh games. So some of them didn't follow the rules, which I ended up liking those better than the ones that actually do. Um, and I don't know, they they get repetitive. So like the ones that I grew up with, the ones that I liked, love them. And you got Dungeon Dice Monsters in this, which I played through and beat Dungeon Dice Monsters on this. Loved it. It doesn't compare to the rest, but loved it though. And this is probably the biggest disappointment that I couldn't fit it in there. Dragon Ball Fighters. It's what I wanted from a Dragon Ball fighting game. It's what we used to have from Dragon Ball fighting games. Going back to like maybe Budokai was like that. I'm struggling to remember what Budokai was like. Uh, but I like 2D fighting games. Sometimes the 3D ones are a little too open, and so like I'll lose who I'm trying to fight, and then I can't get the lock on triggering to to work and to get back to the guy that I'm fighting. So then I'm fighting somebody else, and then I get attacked by the guy I was trying to fight the first time. It's like I don't know. It's all right. It has its place. We've got Xenoverse 2 for that, but that one is a really good selection of fighters. It didn't overdo it. Xenoverse with all the DLC and stuff sort of feels like there's way too much, and it's hard to pick a character because you got too many choices. As where fighters, like it kept it simple. Even when it added DLC, it kept it pretty simple, and like you knew who you were wanting to fight as by the end of it. Um, the original story that was there, and what's her face? You know that one, the one that kind of looked like Majin Buu. Like it all worked. It all felt like a good fighting game, but maybe I'm not a big fan of 2D fighting games either. Not as much as I thought I was because they didn't make it in there either. Um, but that's it. I mean, everything else was not here, and I think at this point I'm pretty close to having the Switch One collection that I actually want. Um, I mean, there's a few things that are missing. There's a Castlevania Dominus collection that I missed. House of the Dead I would like to try. Ninja Gaiden trilogy. Uh, the Capcom Fighting Collection 2 that had um, the Power Stone games in it. Really need to get that one. And they announced one. Patapon. Those are some of the better games from the PSP. But they're not going to make the top 10. Not a chance. And I've got the Gex trilogy pre-ordered through Limited Run, which has a decent shot, but probably not because like yeah, I liked my Gex games, but I think it's gonna be like I've already lost it. Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy. Like really liked some of the other ones, like the second, the third one were 3D open games. Never actually made it all the way through the first Gex. It was a 2D platformer, and it was not that it wasn't good, but I think there are some issues there. And getting the collection and replaying it, I might be able to answer that question. But yeah, so far, not a whole lot else that's going to possibly add to that list. And I know Prime 4 and Legend ZA are technically Switch 1 games, but they've made Switch 2 editions for them now. And with the fact that I have now paid off a Switch 2, and there should be no issues, hopefully, on picking that up. I'm just gonna get the Switch 2 editions, and I'm just gonna count them as Switch 2 games, because at this point, that's what that's gonna end up being. They'll give it as an option for both, but I will probably use them to help boost the Switch 2 library instead of continuing to bump up the already crazily enormous Switch 1 collection that will one day drown me into the earth. But that's okay. I can die happy. so, um, but that's all I got for you guys today. And I've gone almost an hour into this thing. I could talk longer about Switch One. It is my favorite console, and even with Switch Two coming out right now, I'm kind of thinking it's still gonna be Switch One's the favorite, but Switch Two is just gonna be the device to play my Switch One games to still play the new stuff. Um, I get the Joy Cons drift issues and stuff. Like it wasn't perfect by any means, but it was good. It had the library of games to support the the issues and to work through it. Um, but all thoughts for a different video. So you know, let me know what you guys thought. Comment down below. If you want to share your top 10, we could talk about that too. If I've played them, what I thought, how I would kind of rank it. Um, and tell you like, hey, you got a pretty good one there, whatever. Like we could talk about things. That's what I want to do. I want to like communicate with you guys and just get some dialogue going. Um, so comment down below. There is still a poll going until the end of the week to vote on what you would like to see coverage for the first day of Switch 2 as far as a digital addition to my very small launch library. Um, Either Switch 2 Welcome Tour or the upgrade packs for Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. As I last checked it, we are at a stalemate between Welcome Tour and Tears of the Kingdom upgrade pack. So please go in there and vote for what you'd like to see some coverage on and some opinions on. I'll put that link in the description to this video. Hit that like button, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.